I never expected my lowest moment to become the beginning of everything. It was supposed to be just another ordinary day at Ridgeview High. Another day of pretending the laughter didn't sting, that the whispers weren't about me, that the jokes didn't bruise the part of me no one ever sees. But that morning, something broke. One comment too sharp, one laugh too loud, and suddenly I was running down the hallway, trying to breathe, trying to hide, trying not to fall apart in front of the whole school. I locked myself inside the far bathroom, the one no one used, and let the tears fall the way they never did at home. My chest ached, my hands shook, and for the first time I wondered if I'd ever fit anywhere. If being myself would always mean being alone. And then the door opened. I thought it was another student coming to laugh, or record me, or make it all worse. But it wasn't. It was him, the school's golden boy, the one everyone admired, the one whose smile seemed to brighten entire rooms, the one I had admired in silence for years, from far away, where it was safe. He shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have noticed me. He shouldn't have cared. But he did. And what he told me, what he did next, changed everything I thought I knew about him, about myself, and about the kind of love we never expect, the kind that grows and cracks after everything else falls apart. Before we begin this story, a story about pain, comfort, unexpected connection, and the terrifying beauty of letting someone see you when you're at your weakest, make sure to subscribe, because the stories we tell here aren't just emotional. They're real. They're human. And once you start this one, you'll want to know every chapter until the very end. I never liked the bathrooms at Westford High. Too cold, too bright, too echoey, the kind of place where every emotion sounded louder than you meant it to. I wasn't planning to end up there that morning, but life doesn't warn you when it's about to break you a little. It started in homeroom. I was just trying to sit down, keep my head low, pretend I didn't exist. That usually worked until someone decided that I did. I barely had my backpack on the floor when a voice behind me said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Hey, look who's wearing his grandma's sweater again." Laughter, not the kind you brush off, the kind that hits you in the chest like a shove. I kept my eyes on my desk. Just leave me alone. But of course they didn't. Guys like Chase Turner and his friends never left anyone alone if they sensed a hint of weakness. And I was practically an open invitation. Chase snatched my notebook from my table. "What's this? Love notes? Oh, wait, probably nothing." More laughter, more eyes, more heat creeping up my neck. I reached for it, give it back. He moved it out of reach like it was a game. "Why? This all you got, Evan? No comebacks? No fight?" I felt the sting behind my eyes before the tear even formed. God, not here. I snatched my notebook back, shoved it into my bag, and got up from the desk so fast the chair screeched across the floor. The laughter grew louder. I didn't look back. Couldn't. I walked out of that classroom and kept walking until the noise faded and the hall swallowed me whole. When I pushed open the bathroom door, I thought the cold would help. It didn't. I locked myself inside the far stall and finally let the tears fall. Hot, humiliating, quiet. Why did it always have to be me? Why did people see something in me worth tearing apart? I wasn't hurting anyone. I wasn't bothering anyone. I just wanted to exist. I wiped my face with my sleeve, but the tears kept coming. I hated crying. It made everything worse. It made me feel weaker. It made every insult sound truer than it was. I tried to breathe, but my chest felt tight. Is this what breaking down feels like? Is this what happens when you've been holding too much inside for too long? The bathroom door opened. I froze. Not now. Please, not now. Footsteps echoed. Slow. Steady. Then a voice, soft, confused, too close. Hello? My breath hitched. Someone knocked gently on the stall door. "Hey, are you okay?" I didn't answer. Maybe if I stayed silent, he'd go away. But the voice came again, lower this time. "Evan, is that you?" My heart dropped. I knew that voice. Everyone did. Landon Hayes, the most popular guy in school, the varsity basketball captain, the boy whose smile could thaw ice and whose face pretty much lived on every girl's lock screen. He was the type of guy who should know my name, and yet somehow he did. I wiped my face again and forced myself to sound normal. Yeah, I'm fine. You don't sound fine. I cursed under my breath. I hated that weakness was so easy to hear. The stall door creaked as he leaned against it. Can you come out? Please. No. Why not? Because. He let out a breathy half-laugh, not mocking, just surprised. Okay, that's not an answer. I didn't respond. Then he said something I wasn't expecting. Evan, they were jerks. What they did wasn't funny. I blinked. He'd seen? Landon shifted. Look, I don't know what they said exactly, but I know that look on your face when you left the room. You didn't deserve that. My throat tightened. Can you open the door? He asked again. I swear I'm not here to do anything weird. A long silence stretched between us. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was a sincerity in his voice. Maybe I just didn't want to feel so alone anymore. My hand reached for the lock before my mind could stop it. The stall door opened, and there he was, Landon Hayes, 6 feet of effortless confidence and messy blonde hair, standing inches from me with concern written across his face. Real concern, not the fake kind teachers used. His eyes widened when he saw my face. Oh! I immediately looked down. Just don't say anything. I wasn't going to laugh, he said softly. I bit my lip hard. Please just pretend you didn't see me like this. I can't. I looked up, confused. Why? He shrugged a little, but his voice was steady. Because you're not invisible, and because it matters. My chest tightened, so hard it hurt. He stepped a little closer, not enough to overwhelm me, just enough to let me feel that he wasn't walking away. They go after people they're scared of, he said quietly. People who don't fit their tiny idea of what normal is. It's pathetic. I let out a shaky breath. Easy for you to say. They worship you. He frowned. You think that makes me safe? I blinked. Doesn't it? Not even a little, he said. Everyone expects me to be something I'm not. One wrong move, and they'll come for me too. I stared at him, trying to understand. There was something raw in his eyes. Something honest. You really cry in here alone? He asked, softer now. I didn't want anyone to see. Well, he said, offering a small smile. Too late. Despite everything, a weak laugh escaped me. He smiled wider. Then the bathroom door opened again. Someone walked in, noisy, loud. Landon instantly stepped closer to me, blocking me from view, lowering his voice. Meet me after school, he whispered. Behind the gym. Please. I blinked. Why? Because I'm not letting this be the last time we talk. Before I could answer, he moved away, casual and unbothered, greeting the guy who had just walked in like nothing unusual had happened. But before he left, he glanced back at me, and that look was the beginning of everything that would come next. The beginning of something dangerous, something beautiful, something that would break one of us in the end. I just didn't know which one yet. The next morning I woke up hoping the day would be quiet, uneventful, forgettable. I hoped people would move on to gossip about something else, someone else. Anything but me. But deep down I knew how high school worked. It fed on weakness, and I had shown mine. When I walked through the school gates, the air felt different, heavier, like it had a weight that pressed against my chest. As I crossed the courtyard, the whispers followed me before I even made it to the entrance. Did you see him yesterday? He cried in the bathroom, seriously? Someone said he ran out like a baby. That's pathetic. I kept my eyes down. If I didn't look at anyone, maybe I could pretend I didn't hear them. Then someone else added, loud enough for me to hear on purpose. No wonder they mess with him. He asked for it. That one hurt enough to slow my steps. I wanted to disappear. I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me whole. But I kept walking. When I reached my locker, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely turn the dial. I tried to breathe slowly, but the air felt too tight, like the walls were closing in. Then someone leaned against the locker next to mine. I froze, because it was him, Alden Hayes, the most popular guy in school. Quarterback. Tall, athletic, perfect smile, perfect hair, perfect everything. Everyone loved him. Everyone wanted him. People looked at him like he was untouchable. The kind of person who didn't live in the same reality as the rest of us. He shouldn't have been anywhere near me. But there he was, staring at me like he'd been waiting. "You okay?" Alden asked. My throat tightened. "Why do you care?" He didn't move, didn't back away. His voice stayed calm. "Because you didn't look okay yesterday." My heart stuttered in my chest. I hated how easily he noticed things other people ignored. "You shouldn't talk to me," I muttered. "People will say stuff." "I don't care what people say," Alden replied. I wanted to believe him, but popularity was fragile. It could be destroyed in a single rumor, and I didn't want to be the reason someone like him lost everything. "Seriously," I said, avoiding his eyes. "Just go." "No," he said simply. "No," like he'd made up his mind, and nothing I said could change it. Before I could argue again, a sharp voice called out from behind us. "Alden, dude, we're going to be late." It was Brent, one of the football guys. He froze when he saw me, then smirked like he just stumbled onto something dirty. "Oh," he said loudly. "I didn't know you were busy with your new friend." Alden's jaw tightened. "Brent, stop." Brent raised his eyebrows. "Just saying. People talk. Let them." Alden shot back without hesitation. That made my stomach twist, because he said it like he actually meant it. Brent scoffed and walked away. Alden watched him go, frustration flickering across his face. Then he turned back to me. "You don't deserve how they treat you," he said. "None of it." I didn't know what to say to that. No one had ever defended me before. No one had ever stood by me when things got ugly. I hated how good it felt. Alden lowered his voice. "If you want, I can walk with you to class." I almost told him no. I almost told him to get lost. But the truth? I didn't want him to leave. "Okay," I whispered. Alden smiled. Small, warm, real. Not the smile he gave to crowds or teachers or cheerleaders. A different one. One that made something soft move inside my chest. We walked down the hallway together. People stared. People whispered. People nudged their friends. But Alden didn't look at them once. He kept his eyes ahead, like he wasn't ashamed to be seen next to me. We reached my English class, and he stopped in front of the door. "I'll see you around, yeah?" he said. I nodded, trying to act normal, even though my heart was beating so hard I could barely hear myself think. He took a small step closer, like he wanted to say something else. But then someone called his name down the hall, and the moment broke. He gave me one last look, something unreadable, something that felt like a beginning, then jogged away. I stood there for a full minute trying to breathe again. I didn't know what called the feeling spreading through me. Hope, fear, longing, all tangled together. But one thing was undeniable. Alden Hayes noticed me, and not in a way that felt like pity. Not like he was doing a good deed. Something else. Something I didn't dare name yet. But lunchtime changed everything. I was walking toward my usual table, the one no one else wanted, when Alden appeared out of nowhere and grabbed my wrist gently. "You're sitting with me," he said. I blinked. "What?" He gestured with his head. His table. The popular table. The table where I absolutely did not belong. I can't." "You can," he said firmly. "Come on." I don't know why, but I followed. The cafeteria felt almost silent as we walked. Everyone watched us, some confused, some amused, some outright hostile. When we reached his table, his friend stared like he dragged a stray dog over. Brent snorted. "Seriously, Alden?" "Him." Alden didn't blink. "Yeah, him." I swallowed hard, wishing I could sink into floor. Alden pulled out a chair beside him and nodded for me to sit. The room buzzed with whispers. Anger. Curiosity. Someone behind us muttered, "What is he doing? Is he crazy?" Alden turned, eyes sharp. "Anyone got a problem?" Silence. He sat beside me, shoulder brushing mine, and said quietly, "Don't listen to them. They don't matter." But they did. They did matter. And I could already feel the consequences building, heavy and inevitable. Still, when Alden looked at me like that, For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel invisible. I felt chosen. And that feeling was the beginning of everything. Good and bad. Light and dark. Every moment that would follow. Every smile. Every fear. Every heartbreak. Started right there, with him choosing to sit beside me. Without understanding that sometimes being chosen by the most popular boy in school is the most dangerous thing of all. By Monday morning, the humiliation had settled into something deeper, something colder. Over the weekend, I kept replaying what happened in the bathroom, the laughter, the slam of the stall door, the way I tried to hold myself together until the walls stopped spinning. I kept telling myself that whatever happened next couldn't possibly get worse. I was wrong. Walking into school felt like stepping into a spotlight I didn't ask for. People weren't laughing out loud anymore, but the silence was sharper. Whispered sentences cut the air like small knives. A few students nudged each other when I walked by, pointing just enough for me to notice, but not enough for a teacher to catch them. And every time it happened, I remembered the same thing. Ethan wasn't there. He didn't walk through the front doors with me. He didn't wait by my locker like he'd done the last 2 days. He wasn't standing in the hallway pretending. He just happened to arrive at the same time, which scared me more than the whispers. I went to first period feeling like a shadow of myself. I sat in the back corner, trying to disappear, when the classroom door opened and Ethan walked in. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. He wasn't wearing the same bright expression as before. His confidence, the warm, easy kind that wrapped around me like a blanket, was gone. Instead, he looked serious, almost tense, his jaw tight, hands deep in his pockets. When his eyes met mine, something shifted inside me. He didn't smile. He just stared, long, searching, almost worried, and sat down in the empty seat beside me. "Hey," he said quietly. I swallowed. "Hey." He took a slow breath, like he didn't know where to start. "Where were you this weekend? You didn't answer my texts." I looked down at my desk. Didn't feel like talking. Because of what happened Friday, I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Ethan leaned slightly closer, his voice softening. I said I was sorry. "You weren't the one who locked me in the bathroom," I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. "No," he answered. But I was the one who wasn't fast enough to stop it. Something about the way he said that, the guilt, the anger underneath, made my chest ache. "Ethan," I murmured, "it's not your job to protect me." He tapped his fingers on the edge of the desk, a nervous habit I'd only seen him do once, when he almost missed his bus home. "Maybe it isn't," he said, "but I still should have been there." Before I could respond, the teacher walked in and all conversation died. Throughout the entire class, Ethan kept glancing sideways at me, like he was checking whether I was still breathing. I didn't know if that made things better or worse. When the bell finally rang, I stood up quickly, but Ethan gently grabbed my backpack strap. "Walk with me," he said. Part of me wanted to say no, to run, to hide. But another part, the part that still remembered the way he'd found me in the bathroom, nodded without arguing. He led me to the courtyard behind the cafeteria, a quiet patch of concrete where no one ever went this early. "Look," Ethan started, "I know things have been rough for you, and what those guys did. Can we not talk about it?" I interrupted. "Okay," he said, "then let's talk about something else." He hesitated. "Let's talk about what I said to you in the bathroom." My breath caught. Hard. I thought he'd forgotten. Or hoped I had. He didn't. Ethan stepped closer. Slowly, not enough to scare me, but close enough that I felt his warmth on my arms. "When I told you I want to be around you," he said quietly, "I meant it." I stared at him, confused and terrified. "Ethan, don't say things you don't mean." He shook his head. "I don't lie about things like this. But you barely know me." He smiled, small, genuine. "I think I know you more than you realize." My pulse pounded in my neck. "Why me?" His expression changed, softened, and suddenly there was no distance in his eyes. "Because you're not like them," he said. "You don't pretend. You don't try to impress people. You don't hide behind some stupid image." He swallowed. "And because when I look at you, I Feel something I'm not supposed to feel for a guy I barely met. The last words fell from his mouth, like he couldn't hold them inside anymore. My chest tightened. Ethan? He looked at me with the same expression he'd had in the bathroom. Raw, vulnerable, unguarded. And suddenly everything around us went quiet. But before I could respond, before I could decide if I was ready to respond, the courtyard door burst open. 3 boys walked out, the same ones from Friday. Their eyes locked onto Ethan, then onto me. Well, one of them said, if it isn't the crybaby and his new bodyguard. Ethan instantly stepped in front of me, not hesitating, not thinking, just reacting. Back off, he said, his voice steady. But they didn't. They laughed. One of them took a step forward. Didn't know you liked spending time with losers, Ethan. Ethan's jaw tightened. I said back off. The guy smirked. Or what? You're going to end up crying in the bathroom with him? Before I could even blink, Ethan grabbed his shirt and shoved him backward, hard enough that the other 2 guys rushed forward. Everything happened fast, too fast. Shouting, pushing, a scuffle that grew louder, uglier, more dangerous. I yelled for them to stop, but no one listened. And then, like a crack of thunder in the air, the principal's voice exploded from the doorway. What is going on here? The boys jumped back. Ethan froze. I felt my stomach collapse. The principal marched toward us. My office. All of you. Now. My throat tightened. This was bad. Very, very bad. As we followed her inside, Ethan looked at me out of the corner of his eye, not angry, not scared, but guilty, like he knew something had just shifted again, like we had just crossed a line we couldn't uncross. I didn't go back to class after what happened in the hallway. I couldn't. My chest was too tight. My hands were shaking too hard, and the memory of everyone laughing, the pointing, the whispers, the phones, kept replaying in my mind like a nightmare on loop. I kept hearing the same sentence in my head. Look at him, he's crying. What a joke. Pathetic. It didn't matter that the bathroom stall was closed. It didn't matter that I tried to wipe my face before anyone saw me. Once people at school decided you were weak, they never forgot it. I walked to the empty courtyard behind the science building, the place no one used because the benches were old and the fountain never worked. It was quiet there, quiet enough for me to fall apart without an audience. I sat on the cold cement and closed my eyes. For a moment, I let myself break. Just a moment, because I couldn't understand why I hurt so much this time. People had laughed before. Bullies had said worse. But today felt different. Today felt like something inside me cracked in a way I didn't know how to fix. And then I heard footsteps. Slow, careful footsteps. I didn't even bother looking up. Please, just leave me alone. But the footsteps didn't leave. They stopped right in front of me. Hey, a voice said softly. I froze. It was Aiden Pierce, the most popular guy in school, captain of the basketball team, the golden boy with the effortless smile and the kind of confidence that made teachers adore him and students worship him. He wasn't just well-liked, he was untouchable. And somehow, he was standing in front of me. I wiped my face quickly. You shouldn't be here. Aiden crouched in front of me, so we were eye level. His expression wasn't mocking or curious. It was worried. I saw what happened, he said quietly. Are you okay? I hated how my voice cracked. Why do you care? Because no one deserves what they did to you. I finally looked up. His eyes were softer than I expected, warm, dark, nothing like the sarcastic smirk he wore in the hallways. This wasn't the Aiden everyone else saw. This was someone different. I swallowed hard. They were just joking. That wasn't a joke, he said. That was cruelty. His voice was steady, firm, like he was defending me even though no one else was around to see it. I didn't know what to do with that kind of kindness. Aiden sat beside me on the cement, not caring about the dust on his jersey. You know, he said, people laugh at others because they're scared. Scared of being different. Scared of being seen. Scared of being human. I let out a shaky breath. That doesn't make it hurt any less. I know, he whispered. Believe me, I know more than you think. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he added, I'm sorry you went through that alone. I looked at him, confused. Why would you apologize? You didn't do anything. He hesitated, a real, vulnerable hesitation. I should have stepped in, he said. I saw it happening and I froze. I blinked. Why? He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated with himself. Because if I defended you, he whispered, people would start asking questions. And I wasn't ready for that. Not today. Something inside me shifted sharply at those words. Questions? Ready for what? Aiden wasn't looking at me anymore. His gaze was fixed on the ground, jaw tight, shoulders tense. His confidence, the thing everyone admired, was gone, and beneath it was someone raw, conflicted, scared. Aiden, I said carefully, why would they question anything if he defended me? He looked up slowly, too slowly, as if he was deciding whether to lie or tell the truth. And then he said something I never expected. Because I wasn't just scared for you, he whispered. I was scared for myself. My breath caught. Hard. Aiden, what are you saying? He opened his mouth, but stopped. His eyes darted away. His hands trembled. I shouldn't say anything, he muttered. This is a bad idea. Aiden. He didn't answer. I shifted closer, barely thinking. Whatever it is, you can tell me. He closed his eyes like he needed courage to speak. When he finally did, his voice was barely audible. You weren't the only one hurting today. A silence heavier than anything I'd felt settle between us. He didn't explain. He didn't elaborate. He didn't need to, because the truth was already hanging in the air, unspoken, shaky, dangerous. My heartbeat pounded so loudly I could hear it. Aiden, I whispered, are you saying? But before I could finish, the courtyard door opened. 2 basketball players stepped outside. Aiden, Coach wants you. They stopped when they saw us. Both of us, sitting too close, too quiet. Aiden tensed instantly. His mask snapped back into place. Yeah, he said quickly. I'm coming. He stood, avoiding my eyes, but his voice wavered. We'll talk later. Okay. I nodded, heart twisting. He hesitated one more moment, like he wanted to reach out, like he wanted to say something real, something he'd regret if anyone heard. But instead, he walked away. I watched him disappear behind the gym, surrounded by guys who had no idea he was falling apart inside. And for the first time, I understood Aiden Pierce wasn't just the school's golden boy. He was a boy trapped between who he was and who the world forced him to be. And whatever connected us, whatever was beginning, wasn't something either of us was ready to face. But fate didn't care about readiness. It cared about consequences, and ours were coming. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the bathroom floor, the cold tiles, the echo of my own breathing, and then him, the school's most popular guy, kneeling in front of me like I was the only thing in the room that mattered. I didn't understand any of it. Not the way he looked at me. Not the way he touched my arm like I was breakable. Not the way his voice softened like he'd been waiting for me to fall apart just so he could catch me. By the next morning, my nerves were shot. I walked through the school gate with my hood up, hoping no one would notice me. But of course, the universe never works the way you pray it will. People stared. Not the usual quick, mocking glances I'd learned to ignore. These were different, longer, sharper, like something had shifted, and they were trying to figure out what. I kept my head down. I kept moving. I pretended the hallway wasn't suffocating. And then I saw him, Aiden Brooks. He stood by his locker, talking to his friends, looking every bit the golden boy everyone worshipped. Tall, athletic, that stupidly perfect smile that made people feel like they'd been chosen just because he looked in their direction. But when his eyes met mine, something changed. His smile fell. His posture straightened. The world got quiet for a second. Too quiet. He excused himself in the group, ignoring the confused looks they gave him, and walked straight toward me. My heart hammered, so hard I thought it might burst. He stopped just inches away, close enough that I could smell the clean scent of his cologne. Something warm, something familiar now. Hey, he said softly. Not the Aiden everyone else got. Just Aiden. I tightened my grip on my backpack strap. Hey, can we talk? He asked. I stiffened. Everyone's watching. I don't care. But I did. My skin felt like it was burning under the weight of all those eyes. I can't, I whispered. Aiden's jaw clenched, but his eyes stayed gentle. Okay, then after school. I hesitated. He watched every tiny movement in my face like he was trying to read a language I didn't know I was speaking. Please, he said quietly. My chest tightened. Something about the way he asked wasn't casual, wasn't convenient. It was scared, hopeful, fragile. Fine, I said. After school. Relief washed over him, so visibly it almost hurt to watch. He nodded and stepped back, slipping into the crowd again, mask back on, smile back on like nothing had happened. But something had. Something big. The rest of the day crawled by, each class blending into the next. I couldn't focus. I couldn't think. Every time I blinked, I saw Aiden's face. Worried, soft, not like the guy the school adored, but someone else entirely. When the final bell rang, I walked to the back courtyard. The cold breeze hit my face, grounded me for a moment. The space was empty except for the soft rustle of leaves. Then Aiden appeared. Hood up, hands stuffed in his pockets. Walking like someone who had spent all day rehearsing something terrifying. He stopped in front of me, breath shaky. Thanks for coming, he said. I shrugged. You didn't give me much of a choice. He laughed once, short and nervous. Yeah, I guess I didn't. A heavy silence filled the air. Then he spoke, voice low. I heard what they said to you yesterday. My chest tightened again. Aiden! No, let me talk. He stepped closer, not touching me, but close enough that the air thickened. When I walked into the bathroom and saw you there, crying, I felt something I've never felt before. My stomach flipped. I didn't like seeing you hurt, he said. I didn't like that anyone made you feel that way. And I didn't like how badly I wanted to hold you. My breath caught. Aiden, don't. I'm not joking, he whispered. I'm not confused. I know what I felt. I shook my head. You don't. I do. No, Aiden, everyone likes you. Everyone expects you to be perfect. You don't get to ruin your life with someone like me. His face twisted, hurt flashing through his eyes. Someone like you? He repeated. What does that even mean? You know what it means, I said. You can walk away from this. I can't. He stepped even closer, forcing me to meet his eyes. You think I care what they say? He asked. Yes, I whispered. You do. You always have. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out, because he knew I was right. Everyone loved him. Everyone wanted something from him. Everyone expected him to stay inside the golden frame. They built around him. Liking me didn't fit inside it, not even close. Yesterday, he said, voice breaking a little, when you looked at me, I felt like I could be someone real with you. My chest ached. Aiden, but today, he continued, voice trembling, I saw the look in your eyes this morning. You were scared of me. I closed my eyes. Not you. Then what? The world. Silence. Sharp. Heavy. True. He swallowed hard. So what are we supposed to do? I opened my eyes and felt them sting. You, I said softly, are supposed to live the life you've always had. The one people admire. The one no one questions. And you, he asked. I survive in the spaces people don't look at. His voice cracked. I don't want to leave you. You have to. No. Aiden, I said, voice breaking, you can't love me in secret and pretend it doesn't destroy you. That's when I saw it. The collapse in his expression. The truth hitting him too hard. The hope draining from his eyes. He stepped back like my words had pushed him, and in a voice so small it almost didn't reach me, he whispered, Then why did you let me fall? I felt something inside me shatter. Aiden! But he shook his head, eyes glassy. You destroyed it, he said. You destroyed us before we even had a chance. I reached for him. He stepped away, and then he turned around and walked out the courtyard. He didn't look back. I let him go, because loving him meant letting him keep the life I could never be part of, and losing him was the price I paid for saving him. I didn't go back to class after what happened in the hallway. My chest felt too tight. My hands wouldn't stop shaking, and every time I blinked, I saw the moment again, the moment he reached for me, the moment his voice cracked, the moment everything we tried to suppress finally broke the surface. I found myself walking toward the old gym, the one nobody used anymore. It always smelled like dust and forgotten trophies, but it was the only place where I could breathe without feeling like the whole school was watching me. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room echoed with silence, the kind that makes your heartbeat sound louder than your footsteps. I sat on the floor, leaning against the wall, trying to calm down. But feelings don't calm down just because you want them to. I covered my face with my hands, fighting the pressure behind my eyes. I didn't want to cry again, not in the same day, not after everything I'd already felt. But the truth was too heavy, too sharp, too impossible to hold anymore. That's when the door creaked open. Evan. My heart jumped. His voice. Him. I lowered my hands slowly. He stood in the doorway, breathless, like he had run here. His hair was messy from practice, his backpack half open, and his eyes, those eyes I had spent weeks trying not to study, were fixed on me like I was the only person alive. Please, he said, stepping inside and closing the door behind him. Don't run away again. I swallowed hard. You shouldn't be here. I don't care, he replied, walking closer. I've been looking for you everywhere. I looked away, staring at the cracked wooden floor. Why? He crouched down in front of me, trying to meet my eyes. Because you were crying, and that ruined me more than anything else today. My chest tightened painfully. You didn't cause it. Yes, I did, he whispered, even if I didn't mean to. I shook my head, but he gently placed his hand on my knee, a small touch, light but grounding, enough to make me freeze. Evan, he said, voice trembling, I heard what they said about you and about us. I should have done something. I should have said something. But I didn't, and I hate myself for that. You were scared, I whispered. He took a shaky breath. Yeah, I was. I still am. I finally looked at him. His eyes were red around the edges, not from anger, from holding everything in. I've never felt like this before, he said. Not for any girl. Not for anyone. And that scares me more than anything else in my whole life. I felt tears rise again, not from pain this time, but from the unbearable truth that I've been trying to push away. Then why did you walk away? I asked, my voice barely a breath. He closed his eyes. Because I didn't know if I was allowed to stay. My heart cracked at those words. Allowed, as if love needed permission. He sat beside me, shoulder touching mine. When I saw you crying, something inside me broke. I just wanted to protect you, even if I didn't know how. A long silence settled between us, a fragile one, warm and shivering at the same time. Evan, he said softly, I like you. I've been trying not to. I thought if I ignored it, it would go away, but it just got worse. My breath caught. He looked at me with a trembling kind of honesty. When you walked into the bathroom today, I wanted to follow you. I wanted to sit beside you, hold your hand, tell you that you're not alone. But I was scared someone would see us. Scared of what it meant. Scared of wanting something I was never supposed to want. My voice cracked. You don't have to say this. I do, he said. Because if I don't, I'm going to lose the only person who ever made me feel real. My chest ached with a mixture of hope and heartbreak. But he whispered, we can't be together. The words hit like a punch. I froze. He looked down, wiping a tear that fell before he could catch it. Not here. Not now. Not with the way the school is. I'm not strong enough. Not yet. I bit down hard on my lip. So what are we supposed to do? He took my hand, gently, carefully, like it was something delicate that could break if he held it wrong. We do what we can, he said. We feel what we feel. And we don't lie to ourselves anymore. But we don't try to force something we know will destroy us. A tear rolled down my cheek. I wanted a different ending. I whispered. Me too, he said, voice breaking. More than you know. He leaned his forehead against mine, warm, trembling, full of everything he couldn't say out loud. For a moment, we just breathed each other in. Then he pulled away slowly, like it physically hurt him to let go. He stood up, wiping his face. One day, maybe things will be different. Maybe I'll be different. I nodded weakly. Maybe. He took one last step toward me and placed a soft kiss on the side of my head. Tender, shaking, full of love and fear intertwined. Goodbye for now, he whispered. And then he walked away. The door closed softly behind him. The echo lingered far longer than his footsteps. I stayed on the gym floor, heart breaking in the quiet, knowing that I had loved him in the wrong place, at the wrong time, in a world that wasn't ready for him yet. Some stories don't end with two people walking into the sunset. Some end with two hearts learning how to survive apart, because they weren't allowed to be together. And this was one of them.